Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast, the video edition. We realized that it would be a little much to give you 6 hours of video, so we've taken the 6 hours of the radio show, recorded January 1st and 2nd, 2011, and edited it down to a more reasonable size. This is the best of episodes 731 and 732. Enjoy. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Happy New Year! 1111. A brand new year, and we're going to be celebrating by talking about how to fix all the stuff that you got for the holidays. This is the show where we talk about technology, how to use it, how to choose it, how to abuse it if you wish, and how to lose it if you're done. My phone number is 888-827-5536. But don't write that down. Just write 8888 Ask Leo. That's easy to remember, isn't it? 8888 Ask Leo. It doesn't have to be ask. It could be tell, it could be yell, it could be scream, it could be anything at Leo, but we only have the one number, so that's the one we'll use. 8888 Ask Leo. This is the 7th anniversary of the show, by the way. I started doing this show. Well, I've been doing tech talk of some form or fashion since 1991, I think. 90 or 91, full time. And you know, that's it. And started doing TV in 92. But never stopped well, I did. I should say I did stop doing the radio show for a few years in that middle period when I thought I was going to be a television star. When that dream was crushed, 6 years of television and nothing to show for it, I came back to radio, and I've been doing it ever since. So that's a long time doing Tech Talk. 7 years being the tech guy. I started on, I think it was the first Saturday in January 2004, but I think it was the 3rd, wasn't it? I can't remember the exact date. But this is good enough. 7 years ago at KFI, our mothership in Los Angeles, the big 50,000-watt blowtorch of Southern California. And we syndicated the show 3 years ago. And thanks to the great folks at Premier Radio Networks. Now we're in almost 140 stations around the world. And on the internet, everywhere you go. You can't escape me. 8888 Ask Leo. So let's celebrate a brand new year. We could talk about next week. A little preview, because next week we're going to be doing the show as we did the very first year, 7 years ago, from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Every year, this is the largest trade show in the United States for technology, one of the largest of all. Several 100,000 people go every year. We pretty much take over Vegas, which is funny because the nerds aren't really big gamblers, so they usually shut down tables and they double the room rates because they got to get their money somewhere. No $12 buffets, no $50 rooms. Not for you geeks. No, you got to pay your way. So everybody's there. I mean, everybody from television manufacturers like Sony and Panasonic to computer manufacturers like HP. But you also, and this is the thing I find most interesting, you also see what people think is going to be the big product category for the year to come. So last January, when we did the show at CES, if you heard it, you remember. And if you don't, you can go back to techguylabs.com and you can listen. Actually, it might be fun to listen. I'll have to go back and listen to the first show at techguylabs.com, where we did CES 2004, and see how things have changed. But you might remember last year that the big show story, the big CES story, was 3D TV. But what you see at CES often never emerges. You know, it's not necessarily, here's the stuff we're going to put in the store tomorrow. Usually it's, here are the stuff we're going to put in the store for the fall, for the holiday shopping season 2011. So frequently you'll see stuff at CES that doesn't come out for months or, in fact, never comes out. The other big category at CES last year was ebook readers because Amazon's Kindle seemed to be doing well. We didn't know at the time, and we now know it was doing very well indeed. I'll talk about that in a second. But everybody thought, well, ebook readers, that should be a big category. So we saw a dozen of those. Only 2 or 3 have come out. Some of them are actually coming out soon, like now, ironically. And, of course, the third big category last year was in advance of the iPad, which no one knew anything about, including the name. I think at the time at CES in January, we all thought it was going to be called the iSlate. And so there were a number of, it was funny, there were a number of Slate products that came out last year. Well, were announced last year. Some of them still have not and may never come out. And now that the iPad is out, and it shows its true dominance of this category, of course, everybody's scrambling. So what will we see this year at CES? Well, of course, we'll see more of the same, more 3D TVs. That's a very weak category, if you ask me. I mean, people are buying them, but only because it kind of comes with the set if you want a high-end, high-def set. I'd love to hear from you, actually. If you have an opinion on HD, 3D rather, on HD, but only if you have one. I don't want to hear from people who say, oh, I think it's a great idea, who haven't bought one. I'd like to hear from somebody who got one maybe this year. And what do you think? Was it worth it? Are you enjoying it? Or are you using it? Do you ever use the 3D feature, or is it something you never use? 8888 Ask Leo. I'd be curious. Because it's my opinion the 3D is just a gimmick. It's not something people are going to end up. It won't be a universal thing in all TVs, and I don't think people are going to end up using it a lot. And especially if they don't get some 3D content out. There's a real dearth. There's only a handful of 3D discs for your 3D Blu-ray player. But that's what happened when HD started. If you remember way back to 2004, when we were talking about this. And it eventually caught on, and there are now lots of HD discs, of course, on Blu-ray. So if it catches on, I guess there'll be a lot of 3D content. I just can't imagine it catching on. I don't get it. Ebook readers certainly have caught on. Amazon announced that its Kindle is selling, it's the #1 selling product on Amazon, beating even the iPad. And the speculation is it's actually selling at the same clip as the iPhone, which is probably one of the best selling consumer electronic devices out there. And especially this new Kindle 3. Did you get one for the holidays? The Kindle 3 is light. It's very slick looking. It really is. It's not. And I'd be honest, I thought the iPad was going to kill the Kindle. I thought, well, why would you get a Kindle? Well, because it's $130. Or $139. I didn't know Amazon would drop the price that much, I guess. But at $139, it's, 1/3 the cost of the cheapest, 1/4 the cost, really, of the cheapest iPad. And it's really a better reader than the iPad. So if what you're really all about is reading, the Kindle's a great choice. And yeah, the #1 product of 2010, I think we can safely say. And sales of Kindle and Nook, which is the Barnes & Noble product, which is also a very good product, are now outselling books. The paper kind, the dead tree variety. So people are that's really catching on. So CES was right about that one last year. They knew those would be big. They were right about the iPad, but nobody came up with an iPad killer in advance of the iPad. And I wonder if this year we'll see, I think we will see at CES a lot of pretenders saying, hey, the best of which will probably be running Android, but we should also see RIM's Playbook, which is running a operating system that RIM bought. RIM's the BlackBerry company. They bought something called QNX, and they've turned that into a touch operating system. And Microsoft's expected to announce Windows 7-based tablets at CES. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Maybe they'll be great. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 8888-275-5536. The website, techguylabs.com. My resolution for New Year's to fix that site. Make it look like it belongs to this century, not the last. But at least it gets the job done. There's search there, and thanks to James DeRuvo, who writes everything down. There's a lot of good content. And, of course, every show we've done over the last 7 years, they're all there. TechGuyLabs.com. We go to the phones and your calls next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. For 2011, somebody tweeted, well, I think Glenn Rubenstein, my friend Glenn Rubenstein, who's a tech writer, tweeted, boy, 2011 sounds like the future. It does, doesn't it? I'm speaking to you now from the year 2011, where flying cars have eliminated traffic problems entirely. All disease has been eradicated by gene therapy. And all the men are 7 feet tall. Women were smart enough not to get the enlarging treatment. Where's my jetpack? Says Wichita in our chat room. Our chat room is also available at techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. Just click the chat link. Always a lot of fun in there. And they got a big shout out. I don't know if you saw it. Okay, a little horn tooting. New York Times had a little article about my podcast network. They mentioned the radio show, but about the podcast network on Monday. And but I was really pleased that the writer John Kalish, who I've spoken to many times, he really gets it, and he pointed out a big fat section of that article that the community, the audience, is what makes it, and the live feedback from the audience, which of course everybody in talk radio has known for years, is really makes it a different kind of medium. And so we always have a chat room going, he pointed out, with as many as 1,500 people in there, and they called it live fact checking, which it is. If you want to be part of that, I have always called the chat room my brain, my externalized brain, because frankly my memory is going, but the chat room never forgets. Sometimes I wish they would. TechGuyLabs.com. And you can click the chat link and join us in the chat room. Always a lot of fun. It's kind of quiet right now, I think, because it's New Year's Day. It's only about 550 people in there. So there's plenty of room. Let's say hi to Gary, Lake Balboa, California. Our first call of the day, the first call of the year. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I guess if you do it properly, you're also the first call of the decade, right? The decade doesn't begin until 2011.
Well, Happy New Year. Thanks for working on New Year's.
Oh, hey, this isn't you know, when I talk about work and people ask, what do you do? Well, I talk. I sit and I talk. People kind of look funny at me, so I can't really, it's not fair to say I'm working on New Year's. I'm just sitting here talking with you. So I like that. That's not work. What can I do for you today?
Got a question. I'm looking for a new smartphone. I'm with AT&T. And it's for business, so I need a quality phone, calendar, internet, contacts, that kind of stuff. What would you recommend?
Well, you know, you're going to stay with AT&T?
Well, there's 4 of us in the family.
Yeah, you have a family plan. Look, I'm not trying to talk you out of AT&T, especially if AT&T is working well for you where you live.
It's okay. It's not great, but it's...
I keep trying to find the person who says, I love AT&T. And I have yet to find that. Well, of course, you because you're on AT&T, you have access to the king of the smartphones, the iPhone. Is there some reason that you're not considering that?
No. Well, you've talked a lot about the Droid and Android.
Yeah, but that's as much. You know, the reason I mention it so much is because it's a way for somebody who's not on AT&T to get a smartphone. Now, they do, AT&T sells the Samsung Galaxy S. I think they call theirs, is it the Captivate, the Activate, the Enervate? I can't remember, but it's one of the Vates. I think it's, they have a different name for every carrier, but it's all the same phone. It's a beautiful phone, 4-inch, super AMOLED screen, which is the best looking screen out there. I think even better than the iPhone. The iPhone screen, the iPhone 4 screen is the king of the resolution. It's got the highest resolution out there. But as far as the quality of the color, the black of the blacks, I think the Samsung Galaxy S's are very good. And it's a great Android phone. It is not, one thing that bothers me, it is still at an older version of Android. It's at 2.1. The current version is 2.3. And I really don't think anybody should buy an Android phone that's not at least 2.2. Despite the fact that these are just point releases, there's a big difference 2.2 is really the first version of Android that I think comes up to match the iPhone in terms of responsiveness, which is important to people. You know, when you flick it, it moves. And 2.2 is a lot faster. 2.3 is even faster still. But for some reason, Samsung, even though they've released 2.2 in Europe on these phones, have for some reason has not released it in the States on these phones, which bugs the hell out of me. The heck out of me. So I shouldn't swear on New Year's Day. Look, my first resolution already broken. So I wouldn't hesitate looking at the iPhone. But at the same time, I wouldn't hesitate looking at a Samsung Galaxy S. So
now my boss has an iPhone, and the quality is lousy.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem is we don't know whether to blame AT&T or the iPhone. I think it's a combination of both. I drop calls. You know, I still carry around the iPhone because there are apps on the iPhone that I really like that aren't available. Not very many anymore, but there are a few that aren't available on Android. We just found out today that Android has 200,000 apps. So, you know, 200,000 is a lot of apps. That's different applications on Android. iPhone is about at 300,000 now. So you can see that Android's catching up very rapidly. And I think in many ways is superior. There are some features of Android I prefer. If you are looking at an Android phone, you don't need a physical keyboard, do you?
No.
I would say if you are looking at an Android phone, do look at the Samsung. I think it's the Activate. It's either the Activate or the Captivate. I cannot remember. Another good one, Dan in my chat room, Armad, is pointing out that AT&T also offers the Incredible. And I think the Incredible is up at 2.2 now. So that might be a good choice as well. Go in there and play with them. Because a phone is, boy, you know, this is the most personal of devices. You know, you're going to be holding it in your hands, holding it to your ear. You're going to be living with it. And I think it's a great device. Now, I have to admit, there's one more. Okay, here's the wild card. Now that I've really confused you, AT&T also sells the Windows 7 phone, Windows Phone 7, the Samsung Focus, which is also a great phone and is very similar to the Samsung Captivate Galaxy S thing. It's a very similar phone. I've got both of them here, and I don't know if you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference, in a blind taste test. So. And I think Windows Phone 7, is this your first smartphone?
No, I've had them for quite a while.
Blackberries?
It was the Trio, but first was Trio, and I liked that.
Okay.
But it was so big.
Yeah. All of these are thin and gorgeous now. I think you probably should look at either the Samsung Focus if you can. Are you a Windows or a Mac user?
Well, that was another question. Actually.
Interesting. Well, iPhone works with both. The Windows Phone 7 doesn't really have a Macintosh interface. So I really can only recommend it to people who are primarily Windows users. But Android doesn't care, really doesn't care. And Apple, of course, works a little bit better on Mac, I think.
Right.
I would say you would not be unhappy with any of those. I agree that the iPhone drops calls and has problems on AT&T that the other phones don't seem to have.
Okay.
So if that's something that concerns you, especially in your neck of the woods, depends on how AT&T's signal is in your area, I would look at the Samsungs. Those are good phones. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I apologize for equivocating on our last call when he said, well, what should I get? It's a personal thing buying a cell phone, and I could say what my favorite phone is. And I will say what my favorite phone is, but it's not on AT&T. It's the Nexus S, the latest Google phone. It's the one I'm carrying these days. But it's only T-Mobile. You could put an AT&T SIM in it, but you wouldn't get 3G, which kind of you need at least 3G data. Edge only is just way too slow. But it's a beautiful phone. It's 2.3 version of Android, which really is better. It's snappy. It has some negatives. It's missing an SD card slot, so you can't add your own memory. It comes with 16 gigs. You know, it's funny how we complain. It only has 16 gigs of storage. See, maybe it's just because I'm an old guy. But I remember when it was a big deal that computer hard drives, desktop computer hard drives, had 2 gigs. That was a huge deal. But you know, if you're putting music and movies and TV shows on your phone, of course, 16 gigs is probably not enough. I think with a little economy, you probably can survive. It's got plenty of room for apps. Android now lets you store your apps on the SD card in some cases, depends on the app. But with a gigabyte, it has a gigabyte of app storage. That's more than enough for hundreds of apps. Apps aren't that big. And I love the screen, as I mentioned, the AMOLED screen. It's a great phone, and it's a Google phone, so it doesn't, and this is why I like it, I think. It doesn't have the additional kind of cruft that companies like Motorola, Samsung, HTC put on top of their phones. It's just pure Google. And I like a pure Google experience. However, my phone previous to this that I liked on Verizon, and I think a lot of people on Verizon say I'll never go to AT&T, and I don't blame them. My previous preference was the Droid X on Verizon. I really like that. It does have that Motorola blur, which I'm not as crazy about, but at least it's 2.2. I feel pretty confident that this is the year Apple puts the iPhone on Verizon. So if you've been saying, I would love an iPhone, but I don't dare go, I really can't live with AT&T, then maybe take a look at when it comes out, and I don't know when it'll be. They might announce it this month. In the past few years, Apple doesn't go to CES. We were talking about the Consumer Electronics Show, which we'll be at next week. Apple doesn't go to this show. Hasn't gone in years. But, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but Apple always makes an announcement right before CES, and several times it's just taken the air out of CES. I remember when the iPhone announcement happened a few years ago. It was right before CES, and that's all anybody could talk about. No matter what was showing at CES, everybody was talking about the company that wasn't there, Apple. And they've done that several times. The iPad announcement was the conversation piece of last January. It hadn't happened yet. But it's all anybody could talk about is, what's Apple going to do? We know they're going to do a tablet. What are they going to do? So I expect that this year, Steve Jobs, he's a competitive cuss. He really is. I suspect that he will announce the iPhone 5 or iPad 2 or something right before CES. Or maybe he'll just be content to have all the people at CES speculating, as he was last year. But I do think if they're going to put a Verizon phone, I'd be willing to bet that the announcement, at least, if not the phone, will be this month. In past, what they've done is they've announced the phone, and then a few months later, the phone comes out. It'll be an iPhone 5. It has to be redesigned. You can't take the existing iPhone and put it on any CDMA network, which is what Sprint and Verizon are. This iPhone 4 will only work on a GSM network. That's T-Mobile or AT&T. And in this case, it's locked to AT&T. So if you want an iPhone, if you've been waiting for the iPhone but didn't really want to go with AT&T, this could be your year. And there's a lot, let me be clear, there's a lot of good in the iPhone, even the iPhone 4. I'm not crazy about how it drops phone calls, I admit. And that's one of the reasons I don't use it as my primary phone, but I do carry it around because the apps are beautiful, they're elegant. The Retina display is very high resolution. It's really great for photography in particular. If you want to look at pictures, this iPhone 4 is great for that. I mean, it really is. The Retina display is just spectacular. It also has the best camera of any phone I've used. It's only 5 megapixels, but you can't judge a digital camera by the number of megapixels. You really have to look at the quality of the images. And the quality of the images taken from the iPhone are absolutely, no question in my mind, superior to anything else. The Nexus S is the next best, by the way. Its 5 megapixel camera is very good, but not quite as detailed or as perfect, especially in low light, as the iPhone 4. And the HDR feature they built in iPhone 4, which I mocked a little bit, you know, it's pretty good. It comes with the 4.1 or later. And let's not forget the number and range and quality of camera applications available for the iPhone are fantastic. You can do all sorts of great things. Pro HDR lets you do even better HDR. That's high dynamic range photography than the iPhone's built-in HDR. And for a camera phone, it turns out being able to do high dynamic range photography does make a big difference because the dynamic range of a camera phone is particularly bad. Its Auto Stitch Panorama app is fantastic. I love it. Color Splash lets you black and white everything in a picture except for 1 bit of it easily. Camera Plus, which just came back out, is a fantastic application that lets you do all sorts of fun things to your images. It's designed by a photographer to give you a lot of capabilities. There are a lot of pro apps as well the photographers use. And, of course, a ton of filters and other applications. And Apple's own iMovie is on here and it's a very credible video camera as well as My favorite photo app, though, is Instagram. It's kind of like Twitter for photography. I just love it. And to be honest, I love it so much, it's the only reason I still carry an iPhone 4 around with me. It's just so I can view and take Instagram pictures. Here's Kevin Pollak. So it's a fun, I have to say, it's a really, I'm looking at New Year's Eve pictures on Instagram right now. It's a really great application. The good news is that it's going to come to Android. I think really what you're going to have to look at is operating system and hardware, because the difference in application availability between Android and iPhone is small and growing smaller. There's very little gap now. As I said, 200,000 applications on Android. Everything you want. Well, one won't be on there, and that's Netflix. Reed Hastings, the CEO at Netflix, says, yeah, we'll put Netflix on the iPad. We'll put Netflix on the iPhone. We'll even put Netflix on Windows Phone 7, but we'll never put it on Android because the copy protection, they say, is not sufficient. I don't know what that means. I really don't. And I don't know how important it is to watch a movie on your iPhone. But if that capability is important to you, well, that's one reason to stick with iPhone. The reason I equivocate, the reason I don't say this is the best phone, is it's a very personal decision. And I think for many people, many of my friends, my closest friends, laugh at me, mock me for not saying the iPhone's the best phone out there. They say, no, what are you, crazy? It's obviously the best phone. You think for 3 years it was obviously the best smartphone. For 3 years I would not deny that. In the last year, Android, I think, has caught up, and in many ways surpassed. So but that's an opinion, you see, and you need to try it and see. You need to see how big a screen you can handle. If you like a big screen, the Evo or the Droid X with a 4.3-inch screen, fantastic. Some people like the Dell Streak, which is a 5-inch screen. Some people love, in fact, 1 million people have purchased the Galaxy Tab, which is a 7-inch screen. It's not a phone, but it's Android. That's the nice thing about Android. You have a lot of choices. The iPhone, you got the iPhone 4, and that's it. 8888 Ask Leo, your phone calls right after this. Ken in Valley Village, California. Let's talk more about phones. Hi, Ken.
Hey, Leo, Happy New Year to you. I was just finishing up some Angry Birds here, but I'm on with you now.
You know, I just saw some stats about Angry Birds. It is amazing how Angry Birds has just taken over the world.
It's completely addictive.
I guess that's it. You know, it's not my favorite game ever. I have played it a lot. I've gone through all the basic levels, and, of course, they keep releasing more levels, so that kind of makes it harder. But I think Angry Birds is... I don't think I can think of anything more successful in my memory than Angry Birds. It's on all the platforms now, including Android, free on Android.
And judging by the downloads, it is the most popular.
Yeah, although the folks who do Angry Birds say that they make more money on the iPhone platform and that it's a better platform. I don't know how. In some way, it's a better platform for them. I can't imagine that they really mind. Christmas Day, by the way, the biggest Angry Birds day in history, 1 million people downloaded Angry Birds, which means probably 1 million new phone owners, right?
Right, exactly.
If you've not played the game, don't. Whatever you do, don't download it. They said how many millions of hours are used every day? And something like 200 million hours a day are used playing Angry Birds. It's the biggest productivity killer in the history of mankind.
Absolutely.
Anyway, what can I do for you?
I'm on Verizon. I have an HTC Incredible I've had since last April, which I absolutely adore.
Great phone.
And it's absolutely wonderful. And on your recommendation, I purchased it. But I have found that it is loading applications like Slacker and Skype that I cannot uninstall. It's taking up memory, and I find it abhorrent that on
I agree. How can you not uninstall those?
It's not letting you, either with an uninstaller application or through the manage.
So if you go into settings and manage applications, now you might have to force close it. Well, let me try. I've got Skype installed. I mean, I don't think that's certainly not how it's supposed to be. Let me go in here and uninstall Skype on my. This is a Nexus S. It's a different phone. There are now. If they are preloaded apps from Verizon, of course you can't uninstall them. Were these preloaded or something you downloaded?
No, they were loaded in with the system update.
Oh, okay, that's why. That's not the phone. That's not Android. That you can thank Verizon for that.
Well, yeah, exactly, but it's my phone.
I agree. So here's what you do: you root it.
Okay, how do you do that?
Well, it's different for every phone. If you Google root Incredible, you'll find it. On some phones, it's very easy. In fact, there's so much. It's funny how much anti-Android sentiment there is. And I suspect it's from people who just love the iPhone so much they just want to shoot at the Android. But I read an article that said this is a security hole on the Nexus and other Android phones. You can root them, which means it gives you full control of the phone. Google's response was, we designed it to be rooted. What are you talking about? Unless somebody's sophisticated enough to figure out how to do it, they can't do it. But if they are smart enough to root it, they should be able to, because they said the same thing you just said. It's my phone, and I want full control of it. So if you root your Incredible, you can do anything you want, including delete the carrier applications.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This has been killing me for a number of months now.
So what you should understand, and this is a message for everybody, rooting means you're operating as an administrative user. You're a super user. You have root access. So it's a Unix operating system. Android's based on Unix.
Right.
If you've used Linux, if you used Macintosh, when you have root access, the sky's the limit. You are now in total control, including you could erase your entire phone contents with a simple command. So it would behoove one to only use root carefully and to not operate as root all the time. Rooting your phone just gives you the capability to do those things you want, including uninstall stuff that you don't want and override Verizon's, I think, very annoying. I agree with you. Very annoying predilection. This is one of the reasons I like the Nexus S is even though it's on T-Mobile, Google, this is what they call a pure Google experience. There's no extra cruft on here. I call it cruft. And you don't have to do that. But you can easily, by the way, one-line command to root the Nexus X. Google even published it. They said, of course you can root it. We want you to root it. If you know enough to root it, root it. XDA-developers.com, the chat room tells me, is where you go to find out about this. XDA-developers.com. XDA is a rooting program. It's very easy to do. Just be careful.
Thank you, Leo, and have a happy tech year.
Thank you, Ken. You too. This is what this show is about, by the way, is empowering you as a user. I think a lot of times people who cover technology, it's the same thing with people who cover government. They get co-opted by the people they cover, in effect. They become your friends. The companies become your friends. You get free stuff from them. So pretty soon it's very hard for you to say things that the companies don't like. Not because you owe them, but because they're friends. You don't want to hurt their feelings, whatever. And I think that that's a disservice. I have always said to this is my motto, is I'm here, I'm a user myself. I represent users. I do not represent the companies. I have no love for any of them. I make a point of not making friends with them. I don't take free stuff from them. I buy all the phones you're looking at. I've purchased with my own hard-earned dollars. And I have accounts with T-Mobile or Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint, as expensive as that is, because that's how I can look at these phones and not feel beholden to these companies. So I'm on your side. Root it. I've got no love for Verizon or Samsung or anybody else. HTC. These are we bought them. These are our tools. We get to do what we want with them. Period. Now, let me take a break. When we come back, we have so many great calls. Coming up in just a bit, Donald in Carpinteria, California. He's looking for an audio USB interface for a microphone. Wayne in Irvine wants to talk about Waze. It is a scam, but I'll tell you how to avoid it. There are a lot of scams out, especially in the holiday season. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, talking about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, all the gadgets and gizmos, home theater, the stuff that fills our lives. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Had a great time during the break with the chat room. If you've not been in our chat room, do go to techguylabs.com. That's the website. Show notes are there, previous episodes, going all the way back to the very first episodes of the Tech Guy in 2004. This is my 7th anniversary. TechGuyLabs.com. But the thing I'd like you to look at today is the chat link. Click that, and you'll go into the chat room. About 600 people in there. It's a good time to go because it's quiet. Because it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year, by the way. But I love having them there. Not only because they help me. they're my brains. But also because they ask interesting questions. We've kind of had an interesting dialogue over the last few minutes of what were the top 5 products of 2010. And, of course, when you limit it to 5, it's very tough. Very tough. And so I really had to think and process. Now, these are products released in 2010. So, obviously, there are other products I love. My Canon camera, my 5D Mark II, is like my baby, but it's several years old, so that doesn't count. I'll give you the top 5, in my opinion, top 5 products of 2010. We'll start with number 5, and we'll go up. And I'd love to hear what you think, what you would put on this list, what you would take off the list. Number 5, Microsoft Kinect. Came out last month. I think revolutionizes gaming. It is very fun. It makes it accessible to anybody. I was playing Dance Central again this week, and it's just so much fun. But I think more than just fun. I mean, you could say the Nintendo Wii fun. Yeah, more than just fun. It's in the long run a very interesting platform, a fairly inexpensive way for a computer to do face recognition, body recognition, and I think the applications we're seeing already and we'll see more of for the Kinect really show it to be more than just a gaming thing. So I'm going to put Kinect on that list. Number 4 on that list, I think maybe even should be rated higher. Just depends. But for me personally, the Kindle 3, the new Kindle, partly because it's $139, the Wi-Fi only version. And for most of us, that's plenty. You don't need the 3G. $139, lightweight, very readable. For a lot of people I know, it got them reading again. So I have to say, number 4, Kindle 3, if that's not confusing. My number 3 product of the year, not number 1, and I think on a lot of lists, Apple's iPad made number 1, but mine, it's only number 3. I am blown away by the iPad. I think it's an amazing device. I love it, but as I've had it now for 6 months or 7, whatever it is, I find I use it less and less. I use it primarily, believe it or not, for gaming. I think the Kindle's better for reading. If you can only get one device, I think the iPad is the one that does everything, right? So, but I'm in the fortunate position of having a variety of toys in my possession. Gosh, I love my job. So I'm going to put this number 3. You'd think it would rank higher, but no. I think for me, and again, this is a personal list. This isn't. How could any one person say globally, "Oh, this is the best thing"? This is what I think for me and my usage and the way I approach it. This is the number 3 device. Number 2, and a dark horse that came out of nowhere because it's only 2 weeks old. If you'd asked me last month, I would have probably said the Droid X. I do love Android. There's some very good Android products out there. I think the Galaxy S Tab is a definite runner-up. It definitely should be in the top 10. But and the Droid X was great until I got the Google Nexus S. And then, now this is from Samsung. I love the AMOLED screen. It's a little smaller than the Droid X, and I think that's not so bad. It's still 4 inches. It's still a lot of screen real estate. It's running the latest version of Android 2.3, which is very snappy. Snappier, in fact, than 2.2. I live on this phone, and I have to say, I know I've only had it 2 weeks, and sometimes you have to be careful with gadgets. If you've only known them for a short time, sometimes they're, like people, their appeal wanes as you get to know them. In fact, that's very frequently the case, isn't it? But I think this Galaxy S, or Nexus S, I should say, will stay on the list. So that's, believe it or not, number 2. And number 1, and I don't feel I have to justify this at all. I think Apple did a brilliant job. The MacBook Air 11-inch, at $1,000, which is expensive for a netbook, but not expensive for a laptop. At $1,000, I think it is an amazing product, which I find I use all the time. Yes, it's a small screen, but big enough. Very lightweight, great battery life. I know many people would put an iPad on the top of the list and the MacBook Air maybe number 2. I think for a lot of people, the Nexus S would not appear on the list. This is my personal list. Number 1, MacBook Air. Number 2, Nexus S. Number 3, iPad. Number 4, Kindle 3. And number 5, the Microsoft Kinect. What are your top 5 products of 2010? Maybe later in the show, we'll take a look at what might be coming down the pike, the stuff that I'm looking for that might make that list next year. Or I guess it would be this year, wouldn't it? Yeah, I know, $1,000 is expensive for a laptop, but not a good laptop. I know you can get a decent laptop for $600 or $700, but I think if you put it side by side with the Air is worth the extra few $100s. Absolutely. 8888 last Leo. Am I wrong? Tell me. Let's get back to Donald in Carpinteria, California. We were talking about his Otaku No podcast. And let's give you another plug. Anime Los Angeles, which is coming up Friday through Sunday of this week. I will not be there. I'll be in Vegas for CES. You're going to be at the Airport Marriott in Los Angeles. Sounds like a great event, though.
It's fun. It's a very low-key. It's great for new fans or people curious. It's a very fun, friendly, non-threatening atmosphere.
Well, and, I love these kinds of events where it's people who are really passionate about something.
Absolutely.
And it's just fun to get together, especially if you share the passion, to get together with them and just spend time with them. And it doesn't need to be 185,000 people in Vegas. No one can possibly really enjoy that for very long. That's just grueling. But a small few thousand people passionate about a single thing, whether it's Pez dispensers or otaku or whatever, that's fun.
It is, absolutely.
So your podcast is doing well. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Having a lot of fun with it.
You've done how many? 15 episodes, it looks like?
About that, yeah.
And you feel like people are taking to it? How have you publicized it?
Let's see, I'm on Twitter and Facebook, and of course I've come on a certain radio program one or two times.
I don't mind. People often say, well, why you let people plug stuff? I love that. That's great. This is how we have to share, right? This is our community. Let's share. Yeah.
And I've been going to anime conventions and spreading the word.
Bingo. That's it. You got to go. First of all, people say, well, I want to do a blog or a podcast or whatever. I want to create something. I say, what should I do? I say the first thing to do is make sure it's something you love, because the passion will carry you through the rough times, the lean times, the tough times. And two, then to publicize it, go where other people who share your passion are. Anime trade shows. So quickly, because I'm now again running out of time, Donald, what can I do for you?
So I finally decided to get a move up from a USB mic, and I got myself the Heil PR40.
Oh,
beauty!
That's my mic. I love this.
It's a real mic, yes. So I want to make sure. I don't think I'm quite ready to go to the full-on mixer yet. So right now I'm just looking for a decent USB audio interface.
Oh, yeah. There are quite a few. You could spend $700 and get a really top-of-the-line one. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I would go and Shure makes it something that's just like a mic plug extender. I think it's called the SC2 or something like that. I'll look up the product number. But it's inexpensive, and it does a great job, and it's very simple, and it's all you need.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Congratulations. Have fun next weekend. I'll give you the product number when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Happy New Year to you. First show of 2011. And if you count the decades properly, first show of the new decade. It's very confusing, but the decade doesn't begin till 2001, and so this is the... Though I only mention it because the people who listen to this show, some of them are very persnickety about these kinds of things. It just goes with the territory and technology. Wayne, Irvine, California, thanks for being so patient. Hi, Wayne. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Happy New Year to you,
Happy
Leo.
New Year, Wayne.
I heard you using my name in vain a few minutes ago.
Yeah, a few minutes ago. Like half an hour ago.
You said the interest in the Galaxy X was waning.
Yeah, well, the Galaxy Tab. No, I didn't say it was waning. I mean the Droid X. The Droid X. Yeah, the only reason I don't like the Droid X as much as the Nexus S is, I'll give you a couple of reasons. One is the stupid Motorola blur. And Samsung does this, HTC does this, Motorola does this. Everybody who makes Android phones feels for some reason compelled to add their own user interface elements and applications on top of it. In most cases, unless you root the device, you can't remove them. And then the carriers pile on. And so on the Droid X, Verizon puts all these VCast applications on there, none of which I want. So it's still a great phone. I ding it for that. It actually has better battery life than the Nexus S. I'm very disappointed with the battery life on the Nexus S. It just barely gets through a day, squeaks through a day. However,
the question I have for you is this. My mother called and asked about something I didn't know about, so I figured you'd be the person to ask. She had a question about some internet buying sites, which seem kind of bogus.
Yes.
One of them is called Wavy. The other one is called Swizzy. I'm wondering.
I'm willing to bet, based on those names, it's the same people doing both. W-A-V.
Seems like it.
Yeah, W-A-V-E-E.
W-A-V-E-E, and the other one is S-W-I-Z-Z-I-E.
Yeah. And so what do they promise you?
You can buy, here's the advertising, an iPad was sold for $31.
No way. Are these new products or used products?
They claim to be new, and they have these people here that they said were great, and I'm telling my mother, hey, anybody can write anything you want to online and post anybody's picture, and it's all bogus.
Let me ask the chat room. Anybody have experience with these sites? But I could tell you right on the face of it, no way. Yeah. First of all, Apple tightly controls its channel, so if they are selling iPads, they're selling it as a gray market device. Mm-hmm. I think it's a scam, period. I don't think that, so it's auction-based, right?
Yeah, it's auction-based.
So but now...
Are they trying to capture your name or email address and spam you, or I don't know what the deal is?
I don't know. I mean, it could be as bad as they take your money and don't sell you a product. You know, they've got all the things at the bottom, but, anybody could put these. Trustee, verified, VeriSign, trusted, authorized.net, online payment service. By the way, all of these, you go to Trustee, for example, and pay them money for that badge. So, I don't think having that badge necessarily means much. Wavy and the Waves logo registered or common law service marks of Wavy International Holdings. I would look at who is Wavy Internet. Well, first of all, if they hadn't put the iPad on there, I might have believed it. But the minute I see an Apple device being sold, and they have Nanos on here, at below list, I know that they're not a authorized Apple dealer. So I don't know what the racket is, but let me see. I'm going to click how it works. Maybe they'll say. If it's used, maybe. Oh, by the way, I'm being told now you pay before you can bid. You have to give them money. Is that right?
Are they trying to capture your credit card or what?
Well, they get your money, and then you never get anything. So you register, you buy credits, then you look for the item.
Ah, okay.
So they've got your money. And by the way, these credits, non-refundable. So they got your money, right? They got your money. And I think that's probably, I would suspect, what happens most often. These guys avoid the label of scam in many cases by actually somebody getting something. So somebody might have gotten a $3 iPad. But there may also be 1,000 people who gave them non-refundable cash and never got anything.
Right.
So I would check, I don't know anything about them, so I'm not going to say for sure that it is. It smells a little suspicious. I would check, there's a electronic BBB, the Better Business Bureau has an online division. I'd check with them. Here's the beauty of the internet world. Yes, more of this kind of stuff surfaces, and you're exposed to more of this kind of stuff, but you could do a simple Google search and see what others have said about it. And that's what I would do.
Now, when somebody the Google search, how do you know it's not something planted by the website?
You don't. So you have to look at more than one site. You have to use your critical thinking. This is what we got to be teaching kids these days in school, is how to look at something and smell a problem. And you did, obviously. You wouldn't be calling. You said, wait a minute, Mom, somebody got an iPad for how much? No, that can't be right.
Yeah, it's suspicious.
That can't be right. And the very fact that they want money before you can do anything, to me, look, let's face it. If you're buying the hottest consumer electronics devices out there, and the iPad is probably number one, you're not, and Apple, it controls the channel very tightly. No one, from Amazon to Mac Sales to anybody, can sell an Apple product for more than a few percentage points off list. And if they do that, they're eating the difference. So there's never any markdown on Apple products unless you buy it at Apple's outlet store, or it's an old product that Apple has officially lowered the prices on. You just don't get deals. So anytime you see a deal that is that good on an Apple product, there's something's up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I don't know this company, so I can't say for sure what's going on. It seems a little odd.
Right.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
Yeah. Thank you for the heads up, Wayne, on that one. And you're right. That's a big one. Okay? So I'm going to Google the name, but you can't just say, "Oh, look, here's a bunch of articles saying, hey, great deal. I got a great deal on this." You got to be suspicious, and that's not just true. It's interesting. It's not just true on a Google web search. Even if you look at a site like Yelp, I love Yelp. Yelp.com is a site where people review products and services in stores and restaurants. But and same thing with the reviews on Amazon or anywhere else. You kind of have to scratch off the top one and the bottom one. There's always somebody who hates everything, or maybe it's a competitor. Maybe it's the guy across the street who says, "I hate this restaurant. It's terrible." And there's always going to be one that says, "This is the best thing I ever had." Cross that one off, too. And get a sense. You can get a sense if you read all the reviews. TripAdvisor, Yelp. You can get a sense. Yeah, Amazon. Read all the reviews and kind of aggregate them all in your head. And I always kind of mentally throw out the best and the worst. And what you want is a review that's detailed, that says, well, this company did this, and then they didn't do that. And that's what you're looking for. But you have to do it with a critical eye. You can't just same thing with eBay sellers. That's a big those reviews there. Those are be very careful with those. Thanks for the call, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, talking about computers and the internet and cell phones and camcorders and all that stuff. Home theater. In fact, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater expert, joins us at 33:30. Past the hour. That's how exact he's going to be here, no matter come heck or high water, at 33 minutes and 30 seconds after the hour. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's go to the phones, though. Lots of calls at 8888 Ask Leo, and starting with Gigi in San Mateo, California, listening to the great KGO. Hey, Gigi.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call today. I'm a new viewer to you, so I'm pretty grateful that you've taken this call. I bought a computer back in February. And I bought the computer from someone I knew, and all of a sudden I started noticing that there was, every time I would send out an email, there was a tennis match going on with my words, and the words would be changed within 2 seconds and sent back to the other person offensively. I would write something.
What?
And this is, yes,
wait a minute. Come on. You're telling me that you'd press send on an email.
Yes.
And
I would press send on the email.
You would watch this happen on your screen?
I would watch it happen on my screen like something out of a sci-fi movie. So I started noticing where that, and then I started going back in, and I started looking at, sometimes I'll go back to what I've sent already, and the word would be completely kind of like something Rosemary's Baby would have written. Like, I can't wait to have your baby, and
what?
Weird,
all right. Slow down. The person you bought it from, is this a benign person? Or you mentioned that you bought it from somebody. That sounds like you suspect maybe he's involved.
Okay, but yes, I bought it from someone who I had been told for a few years has been the most savvy computer person I've heard on the planet.
Maybe a little too savvy,
for
huh?
a living. I mean, and okay.
So what do you mean? You bought it? Did you buy it brand new from this person?
I didn't buy it brand new from this person, but this person has this computer was in excellent condition, and it was the top of the line computer. And
Did
I
you
thought,
know this
"That's really
person
weird."
before you bought it from him?
This person would fix my computer sometimes, but when I would get the old computers back, I would think there's
Have you
something weird
asked?
going on.
Have
So
you
I
asked
started-
him what's going on?
I did.
What did
I've
he
asked him
say?
many times. He wanted a lot more information, and then he started fixing my mother's computer, and then he
Keep
started
him away
calling
from
both
your
of us and
okay.
asking us for numbers.
Okay, keep him away from your computers from now on. I mean, he's the
Wait a
only
minute.
person who
This
could do
story
this.
gets better.
This could only. I know it does. This could only happen from somebody who's got physical contact with your computer. I don't know of any virus that could be that savvy. Much more likely what's happened is this guy has put a login on your computer and a backdoor that he can log into. So don't let him touch your computers anymore. I feel like Dr. Laura. when good computer experts go bad, don't let him touch your computers anymore. I don't know what he's up to, but I think it's pretty likely that it's him. Now, here's how you fix it. The hardware is fine. It's not the hardware. It's just the software on the system. You need a Windows disk. I hope he provided one for you. Don't use one that looks like it was made by hand. It needs to have the Microsoft hologram on it. Frankly, if I were you, I would go to the store and buy a Windows 7 upgrade disk, because then you know it's pure, pristine, untouched. I would format your hard drive with the disk when you do the install. Just put the disk in, run the install. Almost before it's just the last step before it installs. They'll say, "Oh, wait a bit, there's Windows already on here." You say, "Yes, I know." It says, "Well, what do you want to do?" You say, "Please delete all partitions, delete it all, format it all, and start from scratch." And then he's gone. This bad guy's gone. This could only, in my opinion, this is not a virus. It's too smart for a virus. This can only happen if somebody who had physical access to your system put a back door on it that allowed him to log in and watch what you're doing. Sounds like he's a creep. So don't let him anywhere near you. Don't let him near your mom. And if anything odd happens on computers that he has touched, you need to do the same thing. You need to I mean seriously, format the hard drive and install a known good copy of Windows on that system. What about your data? Well, you got to back it up, but only back up document files. Don't back up programs, because those could be infected. Just images, Word documents, that kind of thing. And even then, they're kind of suspect. You might want to quarantine them, put them on a hard drive, and not install them at first. And I'm really the whole thing sounds a little weird.
Wendy.
Yeah. Patrick in Camarillo, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Patrick.
How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right. Could be a little bit better, though.
Well, what's the matter?
Okay, well, I have a bunch of photographs I've taken with the Canon camera, and I had them all backed up with carbonite, and my hard drive crashed.
Aye.
Now they're all gone with carbonite. Carbonite says that Canons tag them as temporary files.
No, that's not true. Are they were they JPEGs or were they RAW files? What kind of Canon camera?
It's an old Canon PowerShot 350.
Okay, and what did you import them in with?
Just however you download them to the computer, like off the SD card.
So you copied them just using the file manager from the SD card?
In Windows.
Yeah. You didn't use in other words, you didn't use a program. You just used Windows and said, "Oh, there's the card," and you dragged it over.
Correct.
And where did you put them?
Into a folder I had on my D drive for photos. So I have my C drive for my Windows.
And you had that, were you having, now here's the big question. Was that folder being backed up by Carbonite explicitly or not?
Now here's the catch. All the folders inside there for, like, say, Cabo or vacations, the folders are there, but no files inside.
That's not good.
No.
That's really not good.
They all had little green dots on them like they normally do. But
so Carbonite said it had backed them up.
It didn't back them up because they're tagged as temporary files.
I don't understand that. That's what Carbonite says?
I guess there's a temporary tag.
Would you say this is not good. Would you send me an email, leo@leoville.com?
Sure will.
And I will forward you to the highest level tech support at Carbonite.
Thank you very much.
And I'm crossing my fingers for you. I don't know what happened. But that's not good. That's not good. I'm wondering. So the way Carbonite works is you need to it will by default back up what it thinks is your data. If you have stuff that is in addition to where it thinks your stuff is, you need to indicate it so. Because you were getting green dots, that's Carbonite saying, yeah, we got it. If they say it was marked at 10, I don't understand that. I need to talk to them. I will talk to them. Do send me an email, and I'll verify that. And I have to just say I'm sorry. Carbonite is a sponsor of this show. I should disclaim that. So I do have kind of good access to their CEO and on down, and I will absolutely make sure that you get expedited handling, and I apologize. I don't know what happened there. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. It's kind of embarrassing, to be frank. We will talk to Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, in just a minute. You stay right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater whiz. And we are talking about the Consumer Electronics Show coming up in Las Vegas. It starts Wednesday night, really, is the press preview. Thursday night, actually Wednesday also has the Pepcom event. Thursday night, Showstoppers. Friday, actually I guess the doors open Thursday.
Thursday at 10,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we'll be there starting Wednesday night. We're going to be there covering it live on my podcast network, TWiT.tv. And we'll be doing, of course, the radio shows there. And Scott will join us on the radio show on Sunday. So I'm excited. CES is always exhausting, but always fun.
You know, most of my colleagues grumble about, we got to go to CES or Las Vegas. But, I always have a great time. Now, it's true that CES in January is not the best time.
Vegas in January is freezing. It's
freezing. It's right after the holidays.
Christmas just happened. What are we doing here?
We're right in the middle of the manufacturing cycle, right? It's like they have to come up with their next year's products before this year's products are even done being made and shipped. It'd be so much easier or better in the spring or summer. And they used to have a summer CES in Chicago, but they gave that up. They're trying to get one going in New York in June. They've gone for the last couple of years something called the CEA Line Show. CEA is the Consumer Electronics Association, the group that puts on CES. So they're trying to sort of jumpstart one in June in New York, which I've been to, and it's small at the moment, but growing, and I hope to see it continue to grow.
So you said you had a scooplet.
I do have a scooplet. I have a couple of scooplets, actually.
All right.
One of the things that I expect to see at CES this year, and I'm really looking forward to, are some pretty innovative audio technologies. One of which I can tell you is a pretty big scoop. You're familiar with the name Mark Levinson.
Oh, yeah. In fact, my Lexus has Mark Levinson sound.
Right. Well, that Mark Levinson sound system is from the company Mark Levinson, not the man. The man, Mark Levinson,
probably left the company years ago.
Yeah,
it's like Betty Crocker, Peter Norton. They sell their name.
He sold his name to Harman International, huge company. They're responsible for Infinity and Lexicon and all kinds of brands, including Mark Levinson. But Mark Levinson, the man, has just started or signed an agreement with a company called Intersil, which is a chip maker. And you might go, well, so what's the big deal there? Well, Intersil, which is in Silicon Valley, and they make chips for everything. They're one of the huge chip makers in the world. They just recently acquired a company called D2 Audio, which makes amplifier chips and audio chips in particular. And Mark Levinson, what they're going to announce at CES is the collaboration with Mark Levinson to create audio chips that have algorithms developed by the man, Mr. Mark Levinson, as LG used to say when he was working with them. They had to say Mr. Mark Levinson to distinguish him from the company.
Mark Levinson.
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he has developed a set of algorithms that vastly improve the sound quality of just about any audio device that's being driven by these D2 amplifier chips. And I heard a demo of an early prototype a couple months ago in which he had tuned that chip to an inexpensive set of Logitech earbuds. Okay, so everybody listens to earbuds, right? And usually they sound pretty funky. I mean, they're tinny and thin. And he had this great demo where he was able to A/B them. So first he was playing a CD, normal CD and a normal CD player, going through this amp through a breadboard kind of on the kitchen table. And, he played it without that amp, without those algorithms involved. And yeah, okay, it sounded kind of normal. And then he switched in these algorithms and oh my God, the improvement was dramatic.
Really?
Yeah, seriously. Now you have to set these algorithms up for a particular device, like these earbuds or a pair of speakers or something like that.
It's not just like a loudness setting.
No.
It's much more sophisticated than a new EQ.
Yes, much more sophisticated. And I have to tell you, I was blown away.
Really?
I was blown away. So they're going to be at the show. They're going to be at the Venetian, which is the other major venue of the show.
So that means I have to get up, get out of my seat, get a cab, because the Venetian's not walking distance. I guess I could take the monorail there.
You could, or you come with me. I will have a car at CES.
Wow.
In fact, I will have a Ford Fusion hybrid with sync.
What?
Yep. Grace Note, the company that does the big databases, the big metadata databases for audio, for CDs. And
CDDB, they used to be. I don't know what
they used to be CDDB. Yeah. They're now Grace Note. In fact, the CTO of Grace Note, Ty Roberts, was on my podcast last week. He was the last guest of the year. And he was telling us all about Grace Note and what they do and so on. They're going to be at the show, and they have graciously arranged to let me drive a car with Ford Sync, which includes Grace Note technology.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you could put a CD in, and it will say what you're playing, and it knows all the tracks and everything.
That's right.
Thanks to Grace Note. That's kind of neat.
That is kind of neat. And in fact, they've told me that it even has a new function now where they've encoded nicknames for bands. So you could say if you had, say, Beatles tunes on your iPod connected to the sync, you could say, "Play me the Fab Four," and it'll go find the Beatles.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's great.
So that's pretty funny.
So there's a couple of interesting things to see.
Absolutely. And Intersil D2 and Mark Levinson isn't the only one. We're also going to see some really interesting stuff from the 3D Audio Association, 3DAA. And the head of that is the CTO of SRS Labs, and they're the ones that do front-rendered surround from sound bars, so sort of simulated surround. And they're very good at it. And I went down and visited them recently, and their CTO, Alan Kramer, was a recent guest on my podcast, and he's spearheading this effort called the 3D Audio Association, in which what they're advocating is instead of delivering audio in 5.1 channels or 2 channels or 7.1 channels or whatever, to deliver the audio in a format that identifies where each device or where each sound emitting object in the sound field is physically in 3D space, and letting the rendering system, the playback system that you have at your house, decode that and reproduce it as best it can. So
now, would that work better if you had 5.1 or 7.1 speakers? Because then they can be more accurate in positioning.
Correct. But even with 2 channels, I heard a demo down at SRS that also blew me away, which was a 5.1 soundtrack from Avatar, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, that was played with standard 5.1, and then was played on 2 channels, 2 speakers in front, using this, well, actually, it was using a 3D, this is another thing that'll be interesting. I'm not sure if SRS is going to be at the show, but this was playing an SRS technology that actually sounded more involving, more enveloping than the 5.1. And if that had been transported using this 3D AA technology, it would have been even better. And playing it over 5.1 would have been astonishing. So that they're unfortunately not even at the Venetian. They're at the Wynn. So I'm going to have to go over there. And
well, you've got a car.
I do have a car. Yes, exactly.
I should a little disclaimer. Ford does Ford sponsor your podcast? Because they sponsor
they do sometimes.
Yeah. So they sponsor my podcast network, not the radio show,
Right.
And we have a very good relationship with them. Although you're getting the focus, nobody's given me a focus, but that's okay.
And
that's
this
okay.
Is not by the fact that
that's
they're
from Grace Note.
That's from Grace Note.
Yeah.
Exactly.
However, we will have the CEO of Ford, Alan Mulally, on the show, and we'll be talking to him about what Ford's doing because I think their consumer electronics stuff is very interesting.
Very interesting, and they're gonna be a big presence at CES.
Oh yeah, as they were last year. Alan gave the keynote last year.
Yeah, that's right.
But what's interesting about Alan and what I love about him is, yeah, he's the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world, but he's also an absolute geek, an engineer, worked at Boeing for years, designed the cockpit for the most sophisticated airplane flying today, the 777. So he knows tech as well as being a great CEO. So I always love talking to Alan. So that'll be fun.
Oh yeah. I love these guys who are way up in the company and yet who are super geeky also.
Exactly.
It's just great.
That I admire that because it means that the engineering, it gets the attention it deserves.
Right.
Scott Wilkinson deserves a lot of attention. So go to his website, his magazine, ultimateavmag.com. Read all about it. That's the high-end stuff. He also does a column for hometheatermag.com. That's everything. And answers your questions there, too. Scott, we will see you in Vegas.
A couple of days.
Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll go back to the phones right after this. I see that Dina is dancing with her girls to the music. Our great theme song, a tip of the hat in this new year to Ashley Witt, who composed the theme music these 7 years ago. Is that right? That's we're in our 7th anniversary this weekend of the Tech Guy Show. It started on our mothership, KFI in Los Angeles, and is now heard in, I think, 140 stations nationwide. A tip of the hat to you all, and Happy New Year. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number if you have a question about computers or the internet, cell phones, camcorders, home theater, anything with a chip in it. I have to say, I shouldn't probably say camcorders anymore. Does anybody buy it? I guess some people still buy camcorders, but nowadays, the video capabilities of most smartphones is excellent, and even in your point-and-shoot cameras, you probably have high-def video. So do you need a camcorder if you've got a compact point-and-shoot camera, or even better, a digital SLR? We were talking in the chat room about House. You've seen the TV show with Hugh Laurie, and their last episode, the entire last episode, was called Help Me, of this past season, was shot on not video cameras, but on a Canon digital SLR, the 5D Mark II. That's how good these have gotten. They're not just good enough for us, for our amateur people taking pictures of our kids. They're being used in broadcast television shows instead of shows that were shot on film until recently. So clearly, we're getting to the point now where our digital still cameras are great video cameras, and if you have the one, you don't need two. And frankly, I think for a lot of people, camera phones have gotten so good they don't even carry cameras anymore. They just do it all on the camera phone. Not quite as good as it could be, but I guess the point is the best camera is the one you have with you at the moment. My wife and I were going through old pictures last night, and of the kids. My kids are grown now, 18. She's in college, Abby, and my son Henry is 16. He's a sophomore in high school, and it's been a long time since they were little, but we went through and I found some videos that I'd shot of Henry, first time he ever read from a book. And how did I have it? Not the video camera. Sure, I had video cameras. I can't find those tapes. They're those i8 tapes I shot way back when. I'm sure they're somewhere, but I can't find them. But I shot that one on one of my very first digital cameras. It was an Olympus. I remember it very well. Was it a C? I think it was a 3 megapixel camera. So there'd be a C3060, something like that. And it's not the best quality, but I got it, right? It's only 10 seconds, but I got it. Because I happen to have that camera sitting next to me as he started reading. And I think now with a cell phone, it's going to be the same. And the video's better nowadays. and the pictures too. That's one of the, I think, compelling reasons to buy a smartphone as opposed to a what they call a feature phone. Although even feature phones now have cameras and video, don't they? Best camera phone out there, I still have to say, it's not the best phone out there by any means. In fact, it's a pretty terrible phone. Is the Apple iPhone 4? Great camera for a phone, amazing camera, and great video. And they even have, for a couple of bucks, you can buy iMovie for the iPhone, and you can even edit your photos on the iPhone. And frankly, the camera software available on the iPhone is pretty amazing. My friend Lisa Bettany wrote a program called Cam Plus, which is now back. Really fantastic program available on the iPhone 4. There's panorama photos. There's editing. There's HDR. There's tilt shift. Here's a program I just started playing with called Filter Storm 2, which does amazing stuff to your photos. I mean, this is almost like having Photoshop in your phone. So it's pretty impressive what you can do these days with an iPhone 4. And next best, maybe the Nexus S. I think that has a pretty good 5-megapixel camera. Not as good as the iPhone 4, but close. And it's just a matter of time. Certainly your next smartphone will have a camera every bit as good as your point and shoot. That's just a matter, of course. So why carry all that extra stuff around with you? 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Gary's in Van Nuys, California. Hey, Gary, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Quick question.
Yeah.
Please.
I've been using Entourage on a Mac for years, and now I'm starting a new job that requires me to use a PC laptop, and I'm wondering what your suggestions are for sharing the data on both.
So you're a Mac user.
Yep.
And you're forced, compelled, against your will, kicking and screaming to buy a Windows computer.
Well, they're giving it to me.
Oh, even better. So you're not asking me what hardware, because they're going to choose that for you.
Correct.
You're just asking, how can I share data back and forth?
Exactly. Thank you.
Do you already have Mobile Me?
No.
Okay. Then don't run out and get it. But if you did, because a lot of Apple users just kind of do, because they figure, well, this is an Apple product, it must be necessary, and frankly, it's overpriced. It's $70, $80 for a year. If you had that, there is a Mobile Me client for Windows that you could use. Since you don't, let me recommend something better, and it's called Dropbox.
Okay.
Dropbox.com, Dropbox. What it is its software runs on Mac, Windows. It runs on the web. You don't need to have the software installed if you don't want to. But this is what I love about Dropbox, and the new Dropbox 2 is even better in this regard. It's free for up to 2 gigabytes. Now, for a lot of people, that's plenty. But if you want more, you pay more. And I have 50 gigs total storage. That's a little expensive. It's $9.99 a month. So that's $120 a year. That's a lot, but I got 50 gigs storage. Now, what do you get? Well, when you put this Dropbox file on this program running on your Mac or your Windows machine, it creates a folder on your machine called Dropbox. Anything you put in there is automatically copied in the background to the internet and then copied down to whatever computers are running Dropbox. So it becomes a shared folder that is mirrored on every computer. So even if you're offline, that data is there. Oh, it's beautiful. And it works on the iPad, it works on the iPhone, it works on Android phones. So you have access. So what I've done is, and 2 gigs is enough, unless you don't want to share everything. What you want to do is share those work documents, the stuff that you're working on all the time. So 2 gigs is usually enough for that. So I have a folder. I make an alias on my Mac to keep it in my documents folder. I make a shortcut on Windows to keep it in my the appropriate documents folder. I save stuff there, but it's automatically copied to all the computers without me doing anything. So I think isn't that nice?
Yep.
It's really the best solution out there, and if people haven't tried it, they should at least try the free one just to get a sense of what it can do. And the reason I like the new version, 2.0, is because it allows you to selectively only copy some folders on different computers. So, for instance, your Dropbox could have 12 different folders: work stuff, kids' pictures, stuff to share with mom, whatever. you could say, I only want the work stuff on this computer. I want all 3 folders on my Mac. I want this folder, that folder. You can distribute it around so that you only, because that's one of the negatives of Dropbox is the entire 2 gigabytes would be copied everywhere. Not anymore. You can say exactly what you want copied. You can even share a folder. So if you have pictures of the kids for mom, you say, share this folder with mom, and it sends her an email saying, hey, there's a shared folder. She can only see that folder. She gets that folder, and now those pictures are there. And if you update it, she gets an updated folder, which is pretty nice.
And the first 2 gigs are free?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that an amazing deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for business, that's probably more than enough. That's enough for PowerPoints and Word documents. You could even keep your email there if you wanted to, because it looks like a local folder. So you could have Outlook store its PST file there if you wanted to. Entourage and Outlook aren't the same, so unfortunately they will not be able to do that. But I just think this is a good solution. It's a great backup solution, too. It's much more expensive if you want to back up a lot of stuff. But if all you're backing up is some critical text files, that kind of thing, it's a great choice. DROPBOX.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. A reminder, our home theater geek, Scott Wilkinson, has a poll question that you don't want to miss on his home theater magazine column, hometheatermag.com. He's asking, I'm very curious what the result or the poll will show on this, about this 120 frames per second or even 240 frames per second thing that these new LCD TVs do, this frame interpolation. If you go to the website, hometheatermag.com, you'll see the poll there. What do you think? I think it'd be best for people who actually have this to talk about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Spawn of the devil? Or the best thing since sliced bread? hometheatermag.com. Now, we were talking about this fulfillment question. So our last caller has a product. I think a lot of us might be in this situation. He makes a product, but he doesn't want to take orders for it. He doesn't want to package it. He doesn't want to ship it. He wants to ship a pallet at a time to somebody who will do all the work for him. And nowadays, this is a very reasonable thing to do. There's e-commerce, which is taking the credit card information and so forth. And then there's also fulfillment. Now, I mentioned one site, but I forgot to say Amazon does this. In fact, Amazon does it quite successfully. They call it FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. You send the products to Amazon. Amazon stores it in their warehouses. Customers purchase your products. Now, they do that, I believe, on Amazon, but I think you can also create your own page as well with links to it. Amazon packs the products and ships it. Of course, it's not free, but the pricing seems to me fairly economical. I haven't compared it to other fulfillment services. But they charge you for storage in the fulfillment center. They charge you for order handling if it's placed through Amazon.com. But if you place it elsewhere, there's different prices, and there's there's shipping costs and so forth. I think it seems fairly reasonable. So, and of course, you can't do better than Amazon, right? So there's drop360.com. That's one I would look at, but I would also take a look at Fulfillment by Amazon. The page link is a fairly complicated one. I think the best thing to do is just Google Fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA, and you'll find it. Clever idea. Trevor in Menifee, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Trevor.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Great. How are you today?
I'm pretty good.
What can I do for you?
So I got 2 questions. One is about the Apple certification and what are the requirements for it?
I don't know. You'd have to look on Apple's site. I'm sure they'd tell you.
I heard about it from my cousin. And
there's certification. What the idea behind certification is, you take a test. If you pass the test, you get a cert. There are all sorts of certifications. There's Microsoft certifications. There's Novell NetWare certifications. There's all kinds of certifications. Even for people who fix computers, there's something called A+. And these certs are of value really only to somebody who's thinking about hiring you. If you have a lot of certs after your name, then they have some kind of certainty that you at least could, pass the test. So mostly what happens with this is there are companies that charge you a lot of money, thousands of dollars, for classes, for training, and then you take the test, and if you pass it, you're happy. And if you don't, you get to go back and take some more training. So if you go to training.apple.com, you can learn about both the certification and about the courses, of course, because that's where the money is. There's value in it because, for instance, Apple has a directory of certified Apple professionals. That's good. If you're applying for a job, some jobs may even say requires A+ certification or Microsoft certification or Apple certification. So that, in fact, may be important to you. If it's just, you wanting to learn more about Apple, I don't think you need the cert, and I don't think you need to spend the money to get the cert.
Yeah, it's more for like a future career, though.
Yeah, I'm of mixed opinions. A lot of times you don't need a certification. To be honest, if I'm hiring somebody, I talked to Kevin Rose at Dig about this. This is kind of an interesting story. Dig, is a very big, very popular site, 27 million unique users a month, digg.com. It's a news site, and there's a lot of software involved in programming. Kevin started it way back when we worked together at Tech TV. He had this idea, and so he hired a programmer, and they started writing it. And he's been doing it now for almost 10 years, and I think he's learned a lot about hiring. And what he told me, and I thought this was very good, he says, I used to hire for skills. I used to look at the certifications to see what your skills are. Yes, I can write this code and that programming language. I know how to do this or that. He said, what I realized is, at least in startups, it's such a moving target that the skills aren't what's important. What you want is somebody who's smart and enthusiastic and energetic and can learn, because it may be one day he needs to know this and another day he needs to know that. So he said, I stopped hiring by skill, and I started hiring by brains, enthusiasm, ability. And there's no certification for ability. So it just depends on the job you want. I think certainly if you're looking to get an IT job in an Apple shop, having an Apple certification not only will be useful, it may well be required. But if you're looking to get a job with a startup, if you want to work in Silicon Valley at an exciting place, I think the cert's not going to help. Jose in our chat room says, I have a tech degree from college. They didn't want to hire me because I had no experience. It's just like that in radio. I worked in college radio, and I went to radio stations, said, I have experience. They said, what's your experience? I said, well, I worked for 4 years in college radio. They said, that's not experience. Let it come back when you've had a real job. It's always hard to get that first job. You get it, I think, not from the cert. You get it from your own energy, enthusiasm, and ability. Tom in Hemet, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Tom.
Tom?
Yes.
Leo.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. What can I do for you today?
Well, every time I try to play music on my computer, it slows down a few times while it's playing.
How old is your computer?
Yeah.
How old is your computer?
That's about 2 years old.
That's not very old. Does it slow down when anything else is going? 'Cause I'll tell you what, playing music is not difficult.
Yeah. But I went on the internet, and I've seen about 50 different reasons why it would be.
Yeah. What kind of computer is it? Windows?
Yes.
What version of Windows? Is it XP? Is it Vista?
It's XP.
XXP.
Yes.
And does it boot up and run pretty fast in every other respect? It's just when you play music?
It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it should be fast enough, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, playing music is not hard. So there might be some issues. What program are you using to play the music?
Whatever's in the computer.
Windows Media Player, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Once Windows Media Player starts, you're going from song to song. Is it still slow, or is it just getting started? It's slow.
It just plays along, and then it'll just slow down for a few seconds, and then.
You mean wait a minute? The music starts to sound like this?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Not that
slow. Just a little bit slower, and then it speeds up again?
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not that your computer is slow, it's that the audio is actually slowing down.
Right. It's not as.
Wow, I don't know. That sounds like perhaps there's something wrong with the files. Is it happen on every song or just some songs?
Every song. And as a matter of fact, here's another clue that I copied some diffs onto the media player, I guess.
Yeah.
I burned some on there, and they played like that too.
Huh. But they're mostly right. It's just occasionally they're slow.
No, yeah, occasionally, but it
That's
doesn't.
weird. Let me think about that one for a minute. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now, Tom had a very weird problem. I was talking to Tom in Hemet. He's got a couple-of-year-old XP machine. Might be a netbook. I don't know. I don't think it's the speed of the machine, because what happens is he'll be listening to music on Windows Media Player, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden, da-da-da-da-da-da, it slows down and it gets back to normal. What? Yeah, we're getting a lot of wags in the chat room saying, well, he's got to pedal the bike faster, or he needs to wind his Victrola, or... I mean, that's what it sounds like, isn't it? I can't think of why that would happen, to be honest with you. Here's what I would try, Tom. First of all, I'd try another player. Get Media Monkey. Great little player. MediaMonkey.com. It's free. Try it. Just see if that fixes it. There is a speed setting in Windows Media Player, but that doesn't make sense because the speed setting is kind of from now on. So it's in the now playing enhancements menu, play speed settings. But that doesn't make sense because it would be slow all the time or fast all the time. It's slowing down and speeding up. It certainly could be the case if you're streaming, but these are CDs that he's ripped. These are files he's made himself. And for some reason, they just slow down sometimes. Winamp, that'd be another choice. Go to get Winamp, and you can play it back through there. See if the other players do the same thing. See if it happens at the same time, each time in the same songs. If it does, then I would guess that those songs are somehow, the format or the file is somehow corrupted or damaged or something went wrong. If it's always the same files at the same spot, there's something wrong with those files. That's a very strange. And, I'm looking at the chat room, and it's all guesses. It's all just wild guesses. Vic G says, take the tubes to the drugstore to check them. Don't they have, doesn't Radio Shack have a tube replacement program? No, there's no tubes. There's no tubes. I don't know. It's very strange. I can't think of what would cause some songs to slow down and then come back. I don't know. I do not know. It's not on the CD. It's actually off the hard drive. And it's not a bad hard drive wouldn't do that. I can't think. The way most players work, and Windows Media Player is one of them, is they load in, they slurp the music up from the hard drive and then play it, then slurp some more. So if there were trouble reading the song, it would pause, it would stop. It wouldn't slow down. It would just stop and come back. Or it would click, or something weird would happen. I'll be sorry, Tom, that's a baffler. That's like a ghost. I don't know what that is. Logan, Yorba Linda, California. Hello, Logan.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good.
What can I do for you?
I was trying. I'm thinking. I mean, I'm trying to gather the money for the Apospace thing, so I can get that up and running.
The what thing?
Remember I called you before about the blog.
Yeah. Oh, and so you want to do it? Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to kind of backtrack on this one. You want to do a blog?
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Good. And you set it up where?
No, I just have to gather enough money to get the URL.
Oh, I see. You want to register the domain name.
Yeah.
So you can have, something like logansupercoolblog.com or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
now that doesn't cost a whole lot. It's about $10 a year.
Yeah, but my question was, I was also thinking about starting like a online social network, but not just like a social network. It's like email, Facebook, Twitter, forums.
This is the day when young people, I won't call you kids, young people call in and say, "I'm starting a company." That's amazing. So you want to do Facebook, but you want to do Logan's Facebook.
It's not just it's
even better. You want to even better than Facebook.
It's like everything integrated into one thing, but it's exclusive just for like geeks.
You know, there used to be a really great service called Ning. Well, it's still around, ning.com. It used to be free, is I guess what I should say, because Ning, in my opinion, very foolishly, but maybe they just had to, started charging for this. And it was exactly what you're talking about. You would build your own social network with all the features that you talked about. It would be private. People would have a login. And it was really cool. But now, unfortunately, it's not free.
Trial.
Yeah, free trial for a few weeks, and then it's at least $20 a year. And for the features you want, probably $200 a year. So it's kind of expensive.
Yeah, but when people would sign up, there'd be like a quiz to see, like.
Well, could you get your members to donate like 50 cents a year or something? Because that'd pay for it.
Yeah, I might do that.
The other thing you could do is you could put ads on it. You know, you get put Google ads on it, and I bet you'd make if you got to have enough people. That's all.
Yeah.
But if enough people visit it, you could make $10 a month on ads. That'd pay for it. $20 a month on ads would pay for it. So it's just but that's kind of tricky, isn't it? Can you get mom and dad to be venture capital investors in your business?
Probably not.
Because now you understand, by the way, in microcosm, this is why people go to venture capitalists. They say, I have this great idea. Usually they start it, they do kind of an inexpensive, what they call proof of concept, that proves that it works, that people will join it, that it does what it says it'll do. So they'll do an inexpensive proof of concept, and then they go to, the first step is angel investors. That's often mom and dad, by the way. Even if you're a grown-up, that's often mom and dad or family or friends. And they'll get, 10 grand, something like that. Sometimes they'll go to outside angel investors. Sometimes they'll go to places like Y Combinator, which are startup schools. They'll give you, a few tens of thousands of dollars, and you spend 3 months learning how to do a startup. I think you're a little young right now, Logan, to go through that, but maybe in a couple of years, you'll be able to do it. Now, you can also, there's some other ways to do this. You can raise money on Kickstarter.com. That's an interesting idea. The idea behind Kickstarter is anybody can go there and say, I got this great idea. Would you like to pledge some money to it? And there's some very famous successes there. For instance, there was a company that said, we want to make watch bands for iPod Nanos. They look so much like a watch anyway. Would you be willing to, to pledge some money? They raised $1 million. On Kickstarter. Now, I think it's a little harder. How old are you, Logan?
11.
It's a little harder for an 11-year-old to do that because people are going to, let's face it, they're biased. They're going to be a little prejudiced. They're going to say, oh, no, I'm not giving money to an 11-year-old. So you may have to go to people who know you than Kickstarter. Another possible way to do this, if you have some skills. Now, you're going to have to, this is going to be an assignment for you, okay?
Okay.
There is a new competitor to Facebook that did exactly what I just mentioned. They went to Kickstarter. They were students at New York University at NYU, and they said, we want to make a better Facebook than Facebook. And they raised $250,000 on Kickstarter, and they created something called Diaspora. You can go to Join Diaspora, DIASPORA.com. And one of the things that's neat about Diaspora is, yes, you could join their server, but you can also download the software and set up your own Diaspora server. So they're giving away the software to create your own social network. But you've got an assignment before then, Logan. You've got to learn about programming. You've got to learn about website administration. You've got to learn some stuff. So will you go out, get some books, or read online and start learning how to do this? Then you've got a dream, you've got an idea, you've got a good idea, but you need to, Mark Zuckerberg, when he started Facebook, he was a programmer. He started programming when he was in high school.
Yeah, the thing I was asking about is how would you recommend I learn the language for
I would, and I told Thomas, our caller last hour, who's your age, and this is all free, works on any computer, HTDP, howtodesignprograms.org, htdp.org. You also might want to take a look at, there's some other, maybe even more fun and easy ways to do this, like Alice. In fact, maybe you should try that, alice.org. Alice is a computer programming language that was created by Randy Pausch, a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, for teaching young people how to program, and it's great. Alice.org. Good luck, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.